Hello, on this video I want to talk about C++ Stack and Queueu. So let's start with the stack. So the stack is a data structure where you always push elements on the top of the stack and you pop elements also from the top of the stack. When you think about stack, think about a pile of dishes. Every time you want to put a new dish on that pile, you always put on the top. And when you want to remove a dish from that stack, you remove from the top. In the case of queue, it's a little different because a queue you add on the end of the queue and you always remove from the front of the queue. So that's the only difference between the stack and the queue. So let's write some code now to see how this works. So first let's start with the stack. Alright, so first let's create a stack. To create a stack, I need to include the stack. Alright, to create a stack, I'm gonna type stack, and then I need to tell the stack what kind of data type I'm going to store on that stack. In this case, I'm going to store strings on this stack, and then I'm going to give it a name. So the name of the stack is going to be my cities. And I have a squiggly here because I need the namespace standard. So using namespace standard. And now I'm good to go. So again, I type the word stack, then within these angle brackets I put the data type that I'm going to store on this stack, and then the name of my stack. In this case, my cities is the name of my stack. So now let's add items or elements. To do that, I'm going to use the name of my stack, which is my city, and then the dot notation, and then push, and then right here within the parentheses as a parameter, I'm going to type whatever I want to insert or to push into the stack. In this case, I'm going to push Seattle. And you can do this as many times as you want to insert other items. I'm going to put here Kent, and then Bellevue, Kirkland, and Los Angeles, for example. So here I'm just putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements in my stack, and you can put as many as elements as you want. Now how do you get the top element? So if I just want to print the top element, I'm going to use the name of the stack dot top, and that returns the top of my stack. The top of my stack here is going to be Los Angeles, because in a stack, the last item to go in is the first item to go out. So in this case, Los Angeles was the last item to go in. So when I print the top, it will print Los Angeles. So here it is, it prints Los Angeles. Now, what happens if I print the top again? So if I print the top again, it prints Los Angeles twice. Now, why is that? It prints Los Angeles twice because the top function just returns the top of your stack without removing it. If I want to remove this, then I would use my cities dot pop. So pop actually removes one item. So right here on line 20, you print or display Los Angeles, then you remove Los Angeles from the stack, and then you print the top again. The top in this case would be Kirkland because Los Angeles is already removed. So run this program, and now I have Los Angeles and then Kirkland. So this is how you get the top elements, and this is how you remove the top elements. Now you can only remove the top elements, and you can only display the top elements. Always, always, always. There is no index, so you cannot access, let's say, can't, without removing all these three elements first. It's always what's on the top. Now there are other functions. So if you look right here on the IntelliSense, the three most used is going to be the pop, push, and the top. And then there are other functions. And place works like a push, and empty. Empty just deletes everything from your stack. Size, swap. Swap is when you have two stacks and you want to swap the values from one stack to the other stack, and so on. Let's take a look on the size here. I just want to display the size of the stack. So my cities.size, and that will give me the size of my stack. In this case, the size is 5. All right, so there's another important function from the stack, and that's going to be the empty. So I'm just going to display and pop all items from the stack. To do that, I'm going to use a while loop. You can use other loops as well. And right here in the condition, I'm going to use the myCities.empty. So empty is a function that returns true or false if it's empty or not. So for this loop here, I want to run this while my city is not empty. So this is the not. And the first thing I want to do is just display the top item. Now, if I run the program like this, I'm going to have an infinite loop because the top function never removes the item. So I need to remove the item, myCities.pop, and that will remove an item. And now if I run this program, I'm going to go over every single item in the array and removing all of them. And then once this is done, this line 28 is going to display 0 because the stack is now empty. So that's the 0. All right, so now let's take a look on the queue. If you remember, the only difference between queue and stack is that the queue is the first in is the first out. In other words, it's just a queue where you always push elements on the back and you always pop elements from the front. So I'm going to convert this from a stack to a queue. So right here, I'm going to add the queue. And now I can start creating queues. So instead of a stack, I'm going to create a queue. So now this is a queue, and the queue holds string values. And the name of my queue is myCities. And if you notice, the push is the same, so nothing changes here. Size is the same, nothing changes here. The empty is also the same. The only thing that changes here looks like is the top. The top is not available on the queue. However, front is available on the queue. One of the differences between the stack and the queue is that on the stack, you use the top function to get a value from the top, but for queues, you always get items from the front. So you use the front function right here. So the stack does not have a front function. The front function is only for the queue. And the same thing with the stack. The stack don't have a front function. The stack have a top function. And then the pop is the same. The pop just removes an item. All right, so let's run this code again. And if you look now, Seattle, Kent, Belleville, Kirkland, and Los Angeles, this sequence is inverted when compared to the stack one. All right, so that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.